2003, Olympia, Washington. Women just don't get it, too? Nearly 12 years after the Clarence Thomas Anita Hill circus, 25 years now, everybody ought to know that women feel sexually harassed by a standard which most men just don't get. Quote, "We hold that a female plaintiff states a prima facie case of hostile environment sexual harassment when she alleges conduct which is a reasonable woman would consider sufficiently severe or pervasive to alter the conditions of employment and create an abusive working environment." Close quote. Ellison v. Brady, Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Because men are generally expected, if not required, for reasons that have been beaten to a pulp squeeze through psychopolitical sieves, hashed, thrashed, and bludgeoned about by all kinds of grumpy people, including yours truly, to be the sexually chaser, and women the sexually chaste, now there's a double entendre, being chaste begins to feel to many women like a nuisance, or, worse, an harassment. Flip-sidedly to us guys, for whom a lot of attention-paying of the sexually assertive variety by an attractive gal or 24 would seem like paradise, and hopefully not of the Muslim kind, what's a guy supposed to do with a bunch of virgins? Stare at them wistfully and wish he were in a place where he could make them not virgins? It's usually not what we would consider sexual harassment. Or, as former U.S. Congresswoman Patricia Schroeder famously put it, guys just don't get it. Maybe we don't. Although most guys will tell you that the guys who behave themselves are the ones who don't get it. Saving grumbly snideness about gal culpability and sexual sadness for another day, what we can say with certainty is that women just don't get it either, as amply demonstrated by the following comments written by a 16-year-old high school sophomore regarding his experiences at school. Quote, "The majority of high school girls are wearing extremely low-cut shirts or next to no shirt at all, and skirts so short that if they were to bend over to pick up a pencil dropped on the floor, they might reveal more than the class was intended to see. What girls wear to school today is a distraction to the male students." Close quote. Now dig this. Midriffs sagging defy dress code. Andrew Colwell, The Columbian, June 23, 2003. What most women seem not to get, and what feminists don't want to get, is that these girls are guilty of hostile environment sexual harassment. Here we pause to give feminists time to report that there ain't no such critter as a heterosexual guy who doesn't want gals to behave like this. And anyway, it's not conduct of a sexual nature. First, yes, it is conduct of a sexual nature because billions of men say it is. And when the alleged victim is a man, neither the femi-trollops nor the ladies in grating have anything to say about it. Second, after nearly 12 years, 25 now, they still don't seem to really believe that Ellison versus Brady applies as much to men as it does to women. But the great ignored truth in this case is that it does. Quote, "Of course, where male employees allege that co-workers engage in conduct which creates a hostile environment, the appropriate victim's perspective would be that of a reasonable man." Close quote. Ellison versus Brady, Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. So it applies to guys too. How does that turn all those provocatively clad high school lasses into heinous crime committers? Because of how the uniquely and heterosexually male experience fits into the legal criteria for determining hostile environment sexual harassment. Quote, "A hostile environment exists when an employee can show, 1, that he or she was subjected to sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, or other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature, 2, that this conduct was unwelcome, and 3, that the conduct was sufficiently severe or pervasive to alter the conditions of the victim's employment and create an abusive working environment." Close quote. Ellison versus Brady, Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Is a babe flashing flesh engaging in physical conduct of a sexual nature? According to billions of men, yes, she is. Is her conduct unwelcome? When a guy can get hauled into detention and sensitivity trained, if not worse, for noticing all those bare midriffs or frilly things that reveal next to everything under micro-mini skirts, what reasonable guy would not unwelcome it? Is her conduct sufficiently severe or pervasive to create an abusive working or education-getting environment? Given the potential penalties for responding to her conduct, just a little. Like most guys, I think all of this is pretty stupid. Raging hormone triggering, whether in school or at work. Of course, for high school teachers, it is work. And unless you go to a stripper school or work at a strip club, it's inappropriate. But betwixt that and hyperprissiness, where the least act of flirtation or playfulness invites straits of the direst sort, there is a reasonable place where all of us, reasonable people, can learn, work, and live. Until that day that we cough up the politically correct furballs of our culture that our culture is gagging on, and find this reasonable median, however, women will have to learn that they have as much to get as men. 2016, Olympia, Washington. The sad fact is that there seem to be no men willing to make the necessary complaints. Or if they have, the feminist-dominated work and education places have slapped them down so hard that they never progress to the state human rights commissions, or the EEOC, or the courts of law. When men react to displays of female skin, such as breast cleavage, bare bellies, butt cracks, bare buns, and whatever, femi harpies shriek that these displays are not meant for men, or at least not for all men. But their intended targets don't matter. This is about the environment of all men, especially those for whom these displays are not intended. The femi creeps also argue that this is not conduct of a sexual nature. But again, when the alleged victim is a male, then what matters is what most men feel is conduct of a sexual nature. And yet here we are 13 years after I wrote this particular article and 27 years after I wrote my second book, which was on this topic, excuse me, and men are penalized more than ever for being men, while women are encouraged to behave in ways that a self-respecting man finds vulgar and icky. The wonder is not that millions of men are choosing to go on strike, MGTOW style, by going their own way, but that billions of men haven't already done so. For the Backlash at Backlash.com, my name is Rod Van Mecklin.